What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be meal prepping this Cajun chicken jambalaya, and yeah, it's delicious. But almost better yet, it's a one-pan recipe, so it checks the box of few dishes to clean, and you can also cook it under 45 minutes, so it also checks the box of quick meal prep recipes too. So it's just an all-around great dish, and I think you guys will really like it, so let's jump in on and make it. We'll begin today with seasoning our chicken. So what I have here is 750 grams of sliced chicken breast, which I simply just diced into bite-sized pieces. To this, we'll add in some oil. Then we'll season with 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of black pepper, 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, a pinch of cayenne, the zest of half a lemon, and then 10 grams of Worcestershire sauce for some acidity. Now let's give this a good mix, make sure everything's well incorporated and distributed evenly across the chicken, and then we're ready to sear. So what I have here is just a skillet set on medium-high heat. We'll add in a little bit of oil, and then we'll just start scattering around the chicken, similar to how we cooked the carne asada in last week's video. And don't be scared to really crank up the heat on your pan here. We want a really good crust. You really almost want to blacken the chicken. And remember, we already cut up our chicken into bite-sized pieces, so by the time any crust would end up forming, the chicken is going to be cooked through. So don't be scared to really increase your heat. But we'll just repeat this process until all of our chicken is cooked. And once there, I'm going to place all of my chicken into a mixing bowl and then just set it off to the side until we come back to it later. Alright, so the chicken's done. Now let's turn our heat to medium. We'll add in a little bit more oil to the same pan. Then we'll toss in 250 grams each of yellow onion, green bell pepper, and then celery, for which you can see it for each one I diced into just little small pieces. Now let's hit this with a good pinch of salt and then some black pepper, about half a teaspoon or so of each. And then just start working it around and try to get a sear on our vegetables. This is a good time too to start scraping up all of that flavorful fond off the bottom of the pan too that was left over from the chicken. And this is why when the vegetables sweat, it's super helpful because it helps to scrape off that fond. Alright, now after a few minutes or so of searing, we can add in our garlic. So make a well in the center here, add a little bit of oil, and then I'm going to add in 3 cloves, which I minced off to the side here. Just give this a minute or so to sear, let it start to brown, and then once the garlic is there, we can go ahead and mix it together with our vegetables. Alright, perfect. So our vegetables are coming together. It's now time to add in our rice. So what I have here are 300 grams of long grain white rice that I'm using. So just toss that in and start mixing it around. We want to let that rice start to absorb some of the flavors that are in the pan at the moment, as well as toast before we add in our liquids. Now after a minute or so, we can start to add in those liquids. So we'll toss in one 14.5 ounce can of fire roasted diced tomatoes, and we'll hit this with a pinch of salt because those tomatoes definitely need it. And then we'll add in 450 grams of chicken stock, or you can use vegetable stock as an alternative. And then finally, we'll hit this with 1 to 2 teaspoons of Tabasco, or any vinegary hot sauce you have that you prefer. Louisiana hot sauce would obviously be a good option, and I would actually prefer it. We just didn't have it. But anyways, just give this a good stir and then let the dish simmer until the liquids are gone and the rice is cooked. And after about 10-ish minutes or so, mine is starting to come together nicely. So what I'm going to do now is just add back in the chicken and then mix it all together. And you'll maybe notice that we're putting our chicken in after we cook the rice. Since our chicken was already cooked from earlier, it wouldn't really make sense to have it simmer with the rice. That would just end up creating overcooked chicken, which is obviously something we don't want. But anyhow, with everything mixed together, we can prep. Obviously, it's a very straightforward process here. We're just going to add equal portions of the jambalaya to each container. And at this stage, feel free to add a little bit more Tabasco or whatever your favorite hot sauce is. That would be a good topping. And for garnish, I'm just going to add some chopped celery leaf because that's what I had on hand. But you can also garnish with green onion or parsley if that's what you prefer. It's your choice. But either way, we're prepped for the week. And the good news is you don't have to clean too many dishes afterwards. So that's a win-win, and it tastes wonderful. So that's another win. But thank you guys for watching. And yeah, we'll be back with more recipes.